class. Okay, so this is the course objective. By the end of this course, you'll be able to create, open, and view a workbook. You'll be able to store data and format it as per your requirements. You'll also be able to create tables, pivot tables, chart, etc. to present and analyze your data effectively. This basic course is a stepping stone for future Excel courses, which will talk about creating dashboard, creating advanced formulas, data analysis, many more advanced features, even Power BI, DAX, and all that stuff. Right, so let's begin with the introduction of Microsoft Excel. So quick question to you guys. What do you think Excel is? If you must describe it in say 6 to 7 words, how would you do it? Okay, so Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet application. Now, when I use the term spreadsheet, what does it mean? As you're aware, much before the computers appeared, we used pen and paper versions of accounting ledger pages. These ledger pages helped us manage a business with managing our data, analyzing our data, and deriving important conclusions from it. This spreadsheet term is used even today. However, the electronic spreadsheets have replaced the pen and paper spreadsheets. Obviously, Microsoft came up with its own spreadsheet application way back in 1987 for Windows, which was a direct competition with Lotus 123. And hence, you will find a couple of Lotus 123 shortcuts in Microsoft Excel as well. Right. So I have a question, which I'm sure even you guys will have. Now, why should I learn Microsoft Excel? I mean, what's in it for me? The most learning Excel increases your value in the job market. So when you go out into the market, they may not specify whether you know Excel or not. But if you have Microsoft Excel, data analyst, all that stuff in your resume, you will automatically have an upper hand. And I've seen that. Yeah. Anybody can do analysis using automated tools and all that. But if you have Excel understanding, you automatically move a notch higher. And you'll see that on LinkedIn. A lot of people are talking about Excel. So yes, learning Excel increases your value in the job market. Okay. On a personal front, you can also manage finances, you can do to-do list, your music collection, books collection, everything can be done in Excel. Excel is not free per se, but yes, Microsoft does not, after a specific period of time, does not annoy you about that, yes. Okay, now come, let's get our hands dirty and let's dive into Microsoft Excel. Now, to start Microsoft Excel, click on the Start button. Okay. Now, on different PCs, you will have different windows. Mine is mine is Windows 11. So this is my screen. So you click on the icon, which is Microsoft Excel. I'm assuming that you all have Microsoft Excel. So go ahead, click on the Excel icon and start Microsoft Excel. Let's go ahead. When you launch Microsoft Excel, the view that you are presented is called a backstage view. Very few people know what is this view called. It's called a backstage view. And there are 6 main panels on the left that you can interact with. Okay. So we have home, which is this. Then you have new, open, account, feedback, and options. In the home section, which is selected by default, we have an option to create a new worksheet or a template. These options are also available in the next panel, which is new. We will check the new panel in a short while. Here below, you have recent, pinned, and shared with me. Okay, I will explain this in a moment. This is new. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's cover that first. Okay, recent will show you the recent files that you have worked with, and pin lets you pin files that you work on, frequently used files, so that you do not have to search for those files. Okay, and shared with me are files which have been shared with you by different people. Let's click on the next panel, which is new. When you click on new, this part is what you saw in the home tab. So this is the blank workbook. Okay, you can, if you click on this, a blank workbook will start. You can also choose to create a new workbook or select a template from here. Now, as analyst, this may come as very handy to you. So if you want to create personal budgets or any, let's say, financial thing, just type finance. And if you press enter, it will search online and give you a lot of templates. So you can start with a basic template and you do not have to spend a lot of time creating it from scratch. An Excel template is a pre-designed sheet that can be used to create new worksheets with the same layout, formatting, and formulas. Okay, like I said, these templates can help you save a lot of time. The third panel is open. From here, you can browse to the relevant location to open a particular file, which is open. From here, you can browse to the relevant location to open a particular file. We will use this option in a moment. Now, this is interesting, the account. Now, the account panel below contains details about your account. For example, if I click on this, my product is a Microsoft 365 subscription product. Okay, you may have a different product. Some of you may have Excel 2010, somebody will have 2016, 2019, whatever it is, you can check it here. I will not go into these 4 panels, not required for the time being. Okay. However, these 2 you may be interested in, which is the Office background and the Office theme. The Office background lets you change the images that you see on the title bar. So do you see on top this title bar, this green section? So here, currently it is set as circuit. So if you want, you can change this to, let's say, clouds, or you can change it to geometry. Whatever you select, it will show here. Okay, and if you do not want a background, just select no background and it'll go away. The Office theme lets you choose the theme that you like. Mine is colorful. You can change it to dark gray. Let's say something like this. If you like it this way, do it, set it for this. Otherwise, keep it as colorful. I like it this way. Now, this is the feedback panel. This is a very important panel. From here, you can share your feedback with Microsoft. They are always eager to know what's working well, what's not, and any ideas for improvements, including possible new features and functions. Your input will help Microsoft to improve the user experience for you and all Microsoft 365 users worldwide. So please use this. Obviously, you can't give a feedback for old Microsoft Excel versions, which are no longer supported. Now, let's click on the Open panel. Okay, I'm not going to go into the options right now because this particular option has a lot of stuff in it. I mean, this alone will take 2 hours for me to explain about everything. But in short, this option dialog box has a lot of important functionality which control a lot of stuff the way Excel behaves. Once in a while, I may open this window and I will explain a few things about it, but not right now. So if you click on open, what happens? Okay, you can, let's say, browse. Okay, you can click on browse and you can open the relevant file that you want. So what I will do now is, let me first explain a very important concept. It's called Microsoft Excel Object Model. Let's go back to the slide. Right. So this is the Microsoft Excel Object Model. Okay, let's understand what this object model is. This is required when you are very much interested in learning how Excel works with other different objects of Excel. Okay, so Microsoft Excel Object Model refers to the objects that make up an Excel application, such as workbooks, worksheets, rows, columns, cells, ranges, etc. I'm going to briefly explain what these are. The Excel application has 3 important parts. Okay, these are the 3 main important parts. There are other parts as well. First is command bars, workbooks, and ribbons. I will explain about command bars and ribbons in a short while. The workbook contains sheets, worksheets, and Visual Basic application. And then worksheet contains ranges, charts, objects, pivot tables, and so many other things. Now, you may have a question as to why sheets and worksheets. Are they not the same? No, they are not the same. And a lot of people, a lot of Excel, self-proclaimed Excel experts also don't know the difference between sheets and worksheets. Okay, I will explain the difference between sheets and worksheets also in a short while when I open the Excel application. So this is the Microsoft Excel object model in short. You can also think it as, how should I say it? Okay, let me explain it in a funny way. So when I was small, my mom used to have containers which could be put one inside the other. I'm sure many of you also have seen them or have them at your homes. So think of the main box as an Excel application and the small boxes inside them as different objects like workbooks, sheets, ranges, etc. Okay, so I'm going to click on new and I'm going to click on blank workbook. So this is the interface, the visual interface of Microsoft Excel. Right. So the first is the title bar. This green section on top that you see is called the title bar. It is located right at the top. Okay, in that you will see the name of the Excel application or the name of the workbook that is open. But currently we don't have any, we did not open any workbook, but we created a new workbook. So it is showing book 1. So if you keep on creating new workbooks, that will change to book 1, book 2, book 3, and so on. The next thing is, the second part is quick access toolbar. Now, what exactly is quick access toolbar? By default, the toolbar is hidden below the ribbon in Microsoft 365 application, but you can choose to show it on the title bar like I've shown here. So if you click on this, this is the quick access toolbar. QAT stands for that. And by default, it is shown here at the bottom, but I always like it on top, so I move it on top. Now, what is the benefit of using QAT? I'll call it QAT, otherwise it's quick access toolbar. If you use some specific features, options, commands, then you can create the shortcuts here. What will happen this way is you will be able to work faster. Now, for example, now if I go to more commands, and let's say I want to center the text, so I can do add and I'll say okay, and see how this button appeared here. So every time you select a cell, click on this button, you do not have to navigate to other parts. So please frequently use quick access toolbar. It will improve the speed with which you work. And of course, I'll also be sharing a PDF file which will have about 200 odd Excel shortcuts, which will help you become more efficient. Right. Next is the ribbon. The ribbon in Excel is made up of 4 basic components. Tabs. Do you see the name of the tabs here? This is file, home, insert, page layout, formulas, data, etc. These are called tabs. And these boxes that you see here, font, clipboard, undo, alignment, these are called groups. And this small arrow, which you see here in the bottom right corner, is called a dialog launcher. This is also something which very few people know about, what this icon is called. It's called a dialog launcher. And then we have command buttons and drop downs. Okay, so we will be interacting with all of these in this and the future videos. Now, ribbon tab contains multiple command button and drop downs subdivided into groups. Ribbon group is a set of closely related commands. For example, in the font group, you have B, which is for bold, then I for italics, and U for underline. So if you want to work with a particular font, you can use the font group in the home tab. Okay, and if you click on dialog launcher, it will pop up a dialog, in some cases a panel. Right. Command button is the button which you click to perform a particular action. We will go into that at a later stage. Okay. The next thing is command bar, which is the 5th part. The command bar is a common term that includes menu bars, toolbars, and shortcut menus, context menu, etc. Context menu is a menu which you get when you right click on a cell. So I will come to that as well. Few important things that I would like to share with you. So I'm going to come to this part. Do you see this picture one? That is because this picture one is selected. If I select here, it'll show me E3, which is the address of the cell. So this particular part is called a name box. It displays the cell location and can be used to navigate to a particular cell. So if I want to, let's say, navigate to K10, I'll just have to type K10 and press enter, and you'll notice that it'll go to K10. See, the selection is now at K10. So this is the quickest way to navigate to a cell. Then do you see this square button right below K10? This is called select all button. It selects all the cells in a worksheet. Okay. This is called a formula bar. Here you can view, enter, or edit cell contents. And this FX that you see here is called an insert function button. If you click on it, it displays insert function dialog box. Okay. On the right, you'll see scroll bars. Here you have a horizontal scroll bar. Okay. Then at the bottom, there's a zoom slider. So if you want, you can zoom in or zoom out. Then you have page views. Okay. Then this is the page layout. So you can switch like this. See? And then you have the worksheet tab. This sheet one is called a worksheet tab. You can add or delete worksheet tabs, but at any given point of time, there'll only be one worksheet tab. You cannot delete all the worksheets. So you can add more worksheets like this by clicking on this icon, or you can also click on insert. Now I will explain what is the difference between sheet and worksheet. When you click on insert button, you will see that there are 5 sheets that you can enter. The first is the worksheet. Then you have chart, then MS Excel 4 macro, international macro sheet. See how it says macro sheet and not macro worksheet, and Excel dialog. So all of these are sheets, but this is a worksheet. Remember that. So Excel has 5 sheets, and 1 worksheet. You'll be hardly working with these 3. I don't think so you'll be working with these 3 as analyst, but yes, you'll be working with the chart sheet and the worksheet. Okay. Now at the bottom is the status bar. Okay. So what is the status bar? It displays status about different options that are selected. So you will see ready, which is do you see this ready? It's a cell mode. There are 4 different kind of cell modes that you can see here. The first is ready, which is to indicate a general state. Then you have enter to indicate, now this will not see entry here. You will, okay, let me show you if you can show that. One moment. The moment I type something, let's say I'm going to type my name. The moment I type SID, do you see how at the bottom it changes to enter? So this is the second mode. The third is edit. So if I type, let's say that, and I double click on this cell, or you can also press F2, you'll see that the mode changes to edit. So when you are in edit mode, the Excel freezes. That means you cannot do anything else till the time you are in edit mode. This piece of information is very important when you are programming in Excel. We'll cover this in the future when I talk about macros. And the fourth mode that you will see here is called point. Point is to indicate formula cell selection mode. It is displayed when you start a formula and then click the cell that you want to include in the formula. Again, I will show this later on when we work with formulas. Fine. Now let's continue. At the bottom, again, you'll see something. You see the small icon next to ready? This is the macro button. You can start recording a macro from here. If you click on it, you will be able to record a macro. We'll not go into macro right now. Okay, many options are selected by default. If you want to customize the status bar, you can right click on the status bar and then you can select the kind of information that you want to see. Okay, you can, if you want to be notified if the caps lock is on or nums lock is on, you can enable or disable this. Okay, so this is the status bar in short. Now, the next thing that we will learn is what is data handling. We will understand what is data handling, why is data handling required, what are the different ways you can handle data, whether it is manual or importing data. Once that is done, then we will get into entering data, deleting data, enter key direction, inserting, deleting rows and columns, copy and cut, paste and special. Then we'll go into importing data. How can you import data? We'll see you'll use different menu options. We will import a CSV file. I'll also give you a CSV file so that you can also do it on your own. And then we will sort the data. We will also see how to filter the data. You know, there are text filters, number filters. That part is really going to be amazing. And then we'll do a short recap on what we did. Right. So my question to you is, what do you understand by data? Data is information that can be processed. Anything that cannot be processed is not data. So people sometimes call it bad data politely. As per me, there's no bad data. It is either data or it is rubbish. So as data analyst, obviously you can't tell your bosses, this is rubbish. You can't tell your friends, this is rubbish. But remember one thing, data is something which can be processed so that you can analyze it. So data handling is nothing but processing data to arrive at a certain state. It can be an input for an analysis or it can be the final analysis. So data or rubbish. This should always be in your head. Okay. But yes, when you're talking about it, be polite about it and say, oh, this is bad data. You know, you can say that. Right. Now, you may come across the term data analytics as well. So what is the difference between data analytics and data analysis? So data analytics includes not just data analysis, but also gathering the data, storing it, and using the data visualization tools to explore the data and communicate the results to the desired audience. We will not talk about data analytics in details, for example, gathering of data, storing it, etc. As data analyst, your job will be to analyze data, not collect data. Okay, right. So now why is data handling important? It is important because of so many reasons, but there are two important ones. Okay, first is data integrity. Now, you may say that data integrity is very important when the data is being collected. Yes, but it is also an important part of data handling as well. A small mistake by me as a data analyst will really give unexpected results, and that data integrity will go for a toss. So remember, the data integrity is very important. It's the main reason of data handling. The second is it saves a lot of man hours. Analyzing raw data every time to arrive at a conclusion can be very tiring and frustrating. So if you as data analyst have done your job, then a lot of man hours can be saved in reinventing the wheel. So I have a sample raw data, which was downloaded from Kaggle. It's a site which gives you sample data. You can also go there and download this data. So this raw data deals with video games sales and contains a lot of list of video games with sales greater than 100,000 copies. Now, you can either enter, let's start with manually entering the data first, and then we will go into automated stuff. In the meantime, let's do one thing. Let's understand what is manual data entry. Okay, and then we will come into importing of data. When you wish to enter data manually into Excel, you have few choices. You can enter data directly into a single cell or multiple cells at once or across multiple worksheets. You can enter text, numbers, dates, or times as your data. So I'm going to zoom this Excel file so that it is much more clear. You can see what is being typed here. The Excel cell can contain three main types of data. The first is text, second is number, and the third is a formula. So these are the three things that you can enter inside an Excel cell. To enter text or a number or a formula in a cell, you have to select the cell. Okay, once you select the cell, start typing as normal. For example, I'll type my name like I did earlier. So SIDDHARTH. This is the manual way of typing. And once you're done, press the enter key on your keyboard. By default, the selection moves down. But if you press tab, it will move to the right. Now, this behavior can also be changed from the Excel options. So if you click on File, Options, and then in Advanced panel, there is something which is called after pressing enter, move selection. So you can either move down or you can move to the right, up, or left. Right, so it depends. So what happens is there are a lot of times when you want to enter data, but you do not want to go down. You want to move to the right. So you can set it that. So after typing here, if you press enter, it will move to the cell on the right. Okay, to edit the data, you can select the cell and press the F2 shortcut key like this. I pressed F2 and then see how the cell is highlighted. If you want to edit this, select this, press F2 and then start typing. You can also do that by double clicking on the cell. If you double click on the cell, it goes into edit mode. You can type anywhere you want. And the next way is to do it from the formula bar. You can come to the formula bar and you can start typing here as well. The beauty of formula bar is you can expand the formula bar like this. Just hold it like this and bring it up and down. So when you have a very big formula, you can check the entire formula in one go. Okay. Now, what if, okay, this is a small tip that I want to share with you. When you have data like this and you want to ensure that the data fills the entire cell, you can either do this manually like this, or you bring your mouse cursor between the two columns. When the cursor changes like this with a double arrow, simply double click and the column will automatically autofit. Now, this is not only true for one cell, but you can do this for other cells as well. So you highlight all of this and double click in between and it gets autofit. Okay. Now, what if you want to enter data or let's say data in multi-line? So what you have to do is just double click on it and you have to press Alt key on your keyboard and press the enter key. When you press Alt enter, see how the cursor moves down and then you can start typing. This is an Excel plus enter. See how it moves to the next line. So remember, if you want to enter data on a new line in the same cell, you can do that by pressing Alt enter. Okay, now we have entered some data in the cell. Let's do some basic operations like cut, copy, paste special on these cells. To copy a cell, select a cell. So I'm going to select this particular cell. And then in the home tab, you can click on copy button. Okay. Alternatively, there's a shortcut key for that, which is Control C. So if you press Control C, you will see these ant-like creatures around the cell. That means the cell has been copied. There's another shortcut which comes from Lotus Notes, which is Control Insert. So you can also use Control Insert button on your keyboard to copy the data. To paste, select the destination cell and either click on the paste button, which is in the clipboard group of the home tab, or you can press Control V or Shift Insert, one of the keys, and the data is copied. Just like you copy pasted with a single cell, you can do this with multiple cells, including rows and columns. So if I want, I'll just change this to 1, 2, 3. I'm going to delete this and delete this. So if you want to copy, you can also copy cells like this. So not only single cells, you can also do that for multiple cells. Right. When you use copy, the cell contents that you copied is duplicated in the new location. But if you do not want to duplicate it and you want to move it, then you can use cut and paste. So if I select this cell and I'll press Control X, and if I paste it here, see what happens. The text moved from here to here. I'm going to press Control Z. So Control Z is for undo. It's a universal shortcut key. Most of the applications support Control Z. Right. So it's come back here. Now, one important thing about working with cut, copy, paste in Excel is, and you have to remember this because in the future, if you even plan to do programming, this will help you a lot. Excel has an uncanny habit of clearing the clipboard. So if you have something between copy and paste, for example, if I copy a cell like this, see how I have copied it. And now if I come here and I type, let's say 4, see how the ant-like structures have disappeared. So the text has been cleared from the clipboard. So now if you press Control V, this will not paste. So remember, if you want to copy and paste, do not do anything between the copy and paste. Simply copy, do the paste, and then do the other stuff. Okay. You can also move the mouse to do cut, copy, paste. So for example, now instead of pressing Control X, bring your mouse at the border and you'll see your cursor changes to 4-headed arrow. Just press the mouse button, left mouse button, and move it to a different place. This is another way to do it. So you can also do this with multiple cells. Now, cut, copy, paste was pretty simple. Control C, Control V, Control X, Control V. Okay, it was pretty simple. Now, let me explain about paste special. When you are working with lots of data, that is the time, and you want to copy paste, a lot of times you will want to use paste special instead of just paste. Now, why do we need paste special when we already have paste? To explain this, I'm going to add a sample data and then I'm going to color the cell and insert a simple formula. I'll explain about the formula and the coloring part later on, which is there in the font group. But just to demonstrate something, I'm going to do something. So I'm going to color the cell yellow and I'm going to color the font as red. Okay, so let's say I copied this and I paste it here. See what happens. The color and the font color also got copied. But I don't want that. I just want the text to be copied. So what do? This is where I use paste special. Okay, so paste special can be invoked using 3 main ways. The easiest is to press the shortcut key, which is Control Alt V. So when you press Control Alt V, what happens? First is what you have to do is copy the data. Once you've copied that, press Control Alt V. When you press Control Alt V, you'll get the paste special dialog box. If you're using an old version of Microsoft Excel, then you can also use Alt E, that's E for echo, and then press S for Sierra or Siddharth. Yeah. This shortcut key can be used for all Excel versions. Once the paste dialog box is launched, you will get a lot of options. The first one is all. When you select all, everything from the cell which you have copied will get pasted, including the cell content and the formatting. If you select formulas, then it will only copy across the formula. Okay, if you select values, then it will only paste values and not formulas. Similarly, you have formats, which copies only the cell formats and not values. You have comments. We'll go into comments and notes later on. This will copy only the comments and the notes. Then you have validation, other stuff. We'll do all this later on. Okay. So now what if I want to just copy the text? So I've already copied it. Click on this cell, right? Press Control Alt V. Click on values and click on OK. And only the text has come. Okay. See, I had to double click on this because when I did values, the enter key was not recognized. So I just double click and Excel recognized it as enter key and it entered the multi-line space. There are other stuffs in the control, paste dialog box. So you see this operation here at the bottom, none, add, subtract, multiply, and divide. This is very important when you are trying to do some kind of calculation in a cell. So if you want a particular column to be multiplied by 1, so you copy a cell which has 1 and then you multiply the entire section by 1, or you can add it, you can subtract it. In one of the future videos, when I'm handling data in detail, I will explain this. Okay. So what we will do now is we will go and import the data. Excel has a tab which is called data, which is right here. If you click on this tab has a lot of useful features, which we'll cover in our videos. In the first group, which is get and transform. Now, this screen may be different for you guys, depending upon your Excel. So you may get this option, or you can get this option as well. So this is get and transform data. If you click on this, you will be given these drop downs. And from file, it's a CSV file. So we are going to import from the CSV file. Okay, I'm going to, actually doesn't matter, from file and CSV file. And I'm going to go to my folder and import. Now, what you see here is for Microsoft Excel 365. Right, so this is the CSV import file. Once you click on this, you will get this window. One is load and the other is transform data. Okay, look at the screen carefully. You may not get the screen if you don't have Microsoft Excel 365, but you will get something similar. If you click on load, it will import the data directly in the file. But if you click on transform data, then you will be presented with Power Query Editor. If you want to become data analyst, I would recommend upgrading to Microsoft Excel 365 because you can do a lot of stuff with Power Query and all that stuff. I will be covering Power Query in detail in my future videos. I'll give you a brief glimpse of what it looks like. When you click on transform data, see how Excel opens the Power Query Editor. You can do a lot of stuff here. Yeah, so this will help you analyze data, but I'm not going to use this. I'm going to go back and I'm going to this time use a different option, and I am importing the data, and this time I'm going to click on load. See how the data got imported. So right, so this is what happens when you import the data. When the data is imported into the Excel file, it is imported in a table format. I will talk about tables in detail in my next video, but in this video we will understand some basic data handling. Okay, the first thing that we will do is we'll save the file. To save the file, it is always a good habit to frequently save the file. You can also keep the auto save on. Now, if you look on my Excel file, do you see this auto save? You may or may not see this, but this can be activated. It's a new feature which is available for Microsoft 365 subscribers. This feature saves your file automatically every few seconds as you work. By default, it is disabled, but it is enabled automatically when a file is stored on OneDrive for Business or SharePoint Online. You can also switch it on by clicking this button. So when you click on this, see, it asks you where do you want to save it. I have it off. I don't like it to save automatically because my fingers are also programmed. I press Control S after every few minutes, so my data is always safe. Right. So to save the data, click on File and then click on Save As. When you click on Save As, you can save it in any of these locations. Okay. So you can click on Browse. You can save it to Desktop. You can save it to Output. So when you click on Browse, and if you want to, let's say, save it in my documents. Now, this is a very important part. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes here when they try to save a file. So if you click on this dropdown, you'll see that Excel lets you save in very different kind of formats. First is XLSX. This is the default XML-based file format for Excel 2007 and 2013. Okay, this cannot store macros. This format was introduced from Excel 2007. Then there are different formats as well. This is if you want to save it for old Excel versions, you can choose this option. If you want to save it as CSV, you can save it as this. There are text tab delimited, etc., etc. So I leave the choice. Right now, I'm not going to save it, but yes, if you click on save, this workbook can be saved as book1.xlsx. Okay, let's move on. There are other file formats also, which I will tackle when I am dealing with different kind of text file formats like CSV and tab delimited, etc. Now let's understand how sorting and filtering works. Okay, so now let's understand how sorting and filtering works. Let's start with sorting first. You can sort data based on 4 criteria. The first is the cell value. You can see the values here. The second is you can sort. If you click on this, you will notice that you can sort by the values. You can sort by color. Okay, you can also sort by font color. You can also sort by conditional formatting icons. Okay, you can also sort the data either in ascending or descending order. So first, let's understand how to sort data on cell values. Let's say I want to arrange the name of the games in ascending order. So click on this drop down and click on sort A to Z and see how everything is sorted. I'm going to press Control Z. This is one way of doing it. The other way of doing that is through the data tab. So you can select the data, and if you press one moment, right, you can sort it from here as well. And then you can select by which header do you want to sort. So if I want to sort by name, cell values, A to Z. This is how you sort using the cell values. Now, do you know that sorting can also be done based on colors? Let's say I select these 4 cells, sorry, and I color it yellow. I can sort by color as well. So if you click on this, click on sort by color and click on yellow. See how it goes up. Similarly, if I change the font color to red, this time, okay, now what I'm going to do is remember to remove the filter, not remove, to clear the filter, you can click on the clear button and the filter will be removed. Right. Now, if I want to sort by the red font color, click on this, sort by color and click on sort by font color. See how it goes up. So this is again very useful as data analyst because you're working on your data and there are some key points that you would like to highlight. Obviously, I've not spoken about conditional formatting yet. I will talk about that later, but this is the direct coloring of cell. So if you notice something which is odd, you color it and then you sort it, it'll come right on top. Okay. Now the table usually has this filter, but what if the filter is not there? It is like this. Don't worry, put the data cursor in your data and click on the filter and the filter will come back. Working with tables really makes your life easier. In the next video, when I cover tables in detail, I will explain the benefits of using tables. Trust me, there are a lot of benefits to using tables. Right. The final thing that we will cover in this video is filtering, how to filter the data. Now, when your worksheet contains a lot of content that uses filters, then it contains a lot of data, then the filters can help you find information very quickly. It helps you narrow down the data in your worksheet so that you can only view relevant information. So for example, if I want to search only the data where the publisher is Nintendo and for the genre is racing and for the year 2005, then I can do that as well. Let's see how we can do it. So the first step is I come to publisher, I start typing Nintendo. Yeah. So now, since the learning word also has NIN, that's why it's showing. I'm going to uncheck this. I'm going to click on OK. So now the data is filtered to Nintendo. The second thing, I want the genre as racing. I come here, I start typing racing, click on OK. Perfect. Finally, I want the year 2005. There you go. And there you go. I have got the filtered data. So filtering will show you only the data which you want to see. So I'm going to clear the filter again. And we are here now. Now there is another easy way to apply filtering. Let me quickly share this. It's really amazing. I'm going to use the same criteria, Nintendo Racing 2005. So the first criteria is Nintendo. So select any cell which has the word Nintendo and right click on it. Then here you see filter. Click on filter by selected cell's value. And the data will be filtered by Nintendo. Isn't that cool? And then here, racing, right click, filter, racing, 2005, filter, cell's value. See how fast it was. So this is another way of filtering data. And there you go. All the data is there. Now let me share another interesting thing about filters. You saw me when I was doing this, you saw me typing here, right? So this will change. And above that, you'll see something which is called text filter. This will change on the type of data you have in the column. Since this data, which is the name of the publisher, is text, it'll show you text filter. But if I go to, let's say, this numbers column, and if I click on this drop down, you'll see number filters. It's not text filter anymore. And for example, if I have, let's say, date, I'm going to insert a column here, and let's say equal to today. I'll explain about this formula later. And I press enter. I've got dates here. And if I click on this drop down, you will see date filters. So depending on what text you have, you will get the respective filter. Okay. Now, let me explain a few things about this text filter, and then that'll be the end of the session. Now, in text filters, you can actually filter by saying does not equal to something. Okay, let's say, or does not contain Nintendo. So if I copy this text, let's say, and I say text filter does not contain Nintendo. You click on OK. See how it removes Nintendo. Similarly, you can use different options. Does not equal, begins with, ends with. There are a lot of times you want to filter only data which begins with some specific words or characters. You can use begins with. Or similarly, if it ends with specific characters, you can use this as well. Okay. Now, if you go to the number filter, this is different here. Obviously, you have equals and does not equal, but then you have something which is like greater than or equal to, less than. So you can actually find, let's say I want to find the game which has made sales over specific amount. Then you can do that from here as well. Similarly for the dates. Now, if you click on dates, date filters, you can find next week, this week, last week, next month. You can also select, give different criteria like before a specific date or after a specific date. Currently, all of the date is similar, so you can't see that. But let's say if it has, let's say, different dates, then you can apply filter here as well. So today, let's do a quick recap what all we covered. We understood the visual interface of Microsoft Excel. We understood the Excel object library. We understood what is data, why it is important to handle data, what is data handling, what does it contain, what is data, manual data entry, what is, how do we import the data, what is filtering, what is sorting, what are the different types of filtering, what are the quick ways of filtering, etc., etc. So this is what we did. In the next video, what I'm going to do is I'll be going into much more detail when we talk about tables and conditional formatting. In fact, we'll use the same file. Okay, and here I can show you different kind of tables on how to work with tables. So you can insert tables, you can delete tables, you can format tables in a specific way. There are table styles, table headings, etc., etc. And then I will also talk about conditional formatting, which is a part of your home tab. It talks about conditional formatting. There are a lot of rules here. This is very complex. And then you can have icon sets, like I said, these icons that you can have. So we'll talk about this in the next video. Right. I hope this session was informative enough, and I hope you learned something new.